it was like, yeah, man, this is fucking awesome. And then we were going to put Right out, and everything was going to be cool. Me and Ace were super excited that, dude, it was like a couple days later. Okay. We get a phone call. He fucking dies.
Welcome, everyone, to This Was The Scene, the podcast that takes a look back at the late 90s, early 2000 punk scene. I'm your host, Mike Doyle. Before we start, if your company would like to take its 60-minute sales pitch and turn it into 60 seconds, then I've been doing that for the past 14 years with explainer animations. You just hit me up at mike@drive80.com, or you can go to drive80.com to see samples, and I can send you pricing. Houseboy was a Chicago-based pop-punk emo outfit that emerged in the mid-90s. Known for their high-energy live shows, often opening for acts like Guttermouth, Samiam, and Face to Face, the band released a handful of catchy DIY recordings, including the last Friday's Selfless Allstars 7-inch, and the full-length Yeah Right before lineup changes and personal tragedy led them to disband in '99. Despite a relatively short run, Houseboy became a staple of the Chicago punk scene and left behind a legacy of spirited melodic tunes celebrated by local fans and preserved on compilations like Achtung Chicago, Drei. D-R-E-I, so I think it just says Drei. There's a part in the interview where I say Manville Elks Lodge, but I meant to say the P-Pack Elks Lodge, so I just wanted to clarify that here before you listen to it. This was my first interview using Zoom, and I was really nervous about it. It took us about a half hour to start because of technical issues, but I think it came out okay, and I was very worried I was going to lose all the audio, but I didn't. So I got them on the Zoom, and this is what we chat about. Seeing Green Day for $5, Brett's friend getting caught up with the mob, playing with Sublime at the fireside, Brett meeting his wife, punching a mall cop, stealing beer and getting chased by the cops, Driver 11, Stiff Pole Records, Brian Granick, recording their last album, Local H, the reason their last album is grayed out on Spotify, reuniting recently, and a ton more. Keep an eye out for their next album when it drops. They're still writing it, so it might take some time, but you can follow them on their Instagram account, which is houseboy_official. I'll have a link in the show notes. And I have a link to their Discogs, so if you want to go check out any of the other stuff they've been doing over the past 30 years, then you can go do that. Finally, if you want to support the podcast, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. You can go to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/thiswasascene. You can sign up for $1 a month. Or you can go to thiswasthescene.com, and in the top navigation, there's a donate button. You can go there, and there's a bunch of ways you can do that. Any help is awesome, because now I got to pay for fucking Zoom, which blows. So all money helps this thing stay alive. That's all I got to say, so feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with anyone who'd love some punk rock nostalgia. With that said, let's get started. Okay, to start this off, say your names just real quick, just so people can match the voice to the name.
What's up, Mike? This is Ace Cowden, the singer and guitar player of Houseboy.
This is Brett, the drums.
I think the last time I saw you guys, was it at that house show in...
That living room show.
Wow.
That was the last. Yeah, it's the last, pretty much the only thing I remember. Not really, but yeah, us playing in that living room.
Yeah, you guys rented that house with someone else, or was it just all of you guys in Granick?
Yeah,
it was all of us.
Yeah.
It was probably like six.
Yeah, it was Brett, Patrice, me, Tracy, Granick. Yeah, a lot of people stayed there a lot. It was a total crash pad, punk rock crash pad, definitely.
It was right on 78 before you got into Pennsylvania.
Phillipsburg.
Yeah, Phillipsburg.
What was it? It was us, you guys, and then Nooner played.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start there, because I know before you moved to Jersey, and we'll talk about Patino and the Lost album that is online, but it's not on Spotify. It's on Spotify, but it's like grayed out for some reason.
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be on Spotify.
Okay, so we'll get down to that. But so I kind of just go all the way back, and this is gonna be just a whole history of the band, how it started, and then where it is now. But before all that, how did you guys personally get involved in the Chicago punk scene, right?
Yeah, I'll give you the beginning. Me and Ace both grew up in California, just so everybody knows. We'll clear that up. There's a lot of people think that we're from Chicago. We're not. I mean, we grew up here in Cali, man. When I graduated from high school, I moved to Santa Cruz to go to college. And when I moved out there, I met this dude, Dan Garcia. He was a guitar player, and I was going to punk shows and, playing drums a little bit. He's the one that kind of convinced me, and he was like, "Hey man, we need a drummer," and so I went and started jamming with him. And that's how I got into the scene. That was 1992. And I hadn't even known Ace yet because Ace is a few years younger than me. So me and Dan, we did this band called Buzzcore, which was based out of Santa Cruz for about a couple months. And then Dan was already planning on moving to Chicago because his friends that he went to high school with they were already living out there.
How old are you at this time?
19. So Dan convinces me, hey man, you should go to Chicago with me. And so I said, all right. I was getting ready to go to school, but playing drums in a punk rock band sounded way more fun. So yeah, man, I just said fuck it, dude, and went to Chicago with him, man. And I didn't know anybody, dude. I just went out there.
Were you going to a lot of shows in California, or did you get more into it in Chicago?
I guess you would say I grew up in the East Bay scene because like starting in like junior high when I first really started getting into like going to shows with like hanging out with my skater friends and stuff. We go to the Bay and go to Gilman Street and see, like 15 and Operation Ivy, Green Day, all those bands. And then when I moved to Santa Cruz, and then it was like even more, dude. We were seeing, it was like we were going to shows every weekend. We would go to, they had a bowling alley in Saratoga, which is like San Jose area. It was called Saratoga Lanes, and they used to put on shows there. I remember seeing Green Day there for $5, man.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, back in the day.
Were they always do they always have a huge following, or did you catch them at the very beginning?
By the time I didn't catch them at the very beginning. By the time I caught them, they already had that local buzz. Like a lot of girls were going to their shows, and that's why a lot of guys would want to go because they, all these girls at their shows, dude.
That's a good move.
I mean, they were fun, man. I mean, people can say what they want about Green Day, dude, but they were super fun, and they always put on a good show, dude.
And they're still great. I mean, they're kind of like Sabbath. Nothing's going to touch those first 6 albums. American Idiot to me was like their Black Album. Billy's voice now it's like way more polished, I think, now than it was. It's almost like super premium pop now. But I mean, it's still great. But I mean, nothing. I mean, to me personally, nothing will touch those first 5 or 6 albums.
Growing up and getting into singing, was he someone that you looked at for?
Oh yeah, my top 5 biggest influences: Green Day, Jawbreaker, Samiam, Smoking Popes, Face to Face. All those singers. Yeah, Josh Caterer from the Popes, Trevor from Face to Face, Billy Joe too.
I never got into the Smoking Popes.
I like the Popes a lot because even when I first heard them, I was like, wow, I could hear the country in it. Like when I heard later that Josh Caterer, one of his favorite singers-songwriters, was Willie Nelson, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But there was a little country to him, and that's why I kind of I liked a lot about him. Josh was more of a crooner than a screamer.
I immediately went to that I Think You Should Leave skit where he's doing the crooner. Have you seen this?
No.
You never seen this show?
No.
Oh my God, it's so great. You just look up I Think You Should Leave and crooner, and then I'll leave it at that. I think people listening, it's pretty popular. People will be like just laughing because it's so fucking funny. Brett, you said that you moved out to Chicago and you and Ace were friends at this point?
No, I hadn't met Ace yet. So I moved out to Chicago in October of 92. So Ace was still in high school. When I first got out there, I didn't know anybody. And Dan and all his friends were older. They were already able to go to the bars and stuff. And sometimes I could get in and go to shows and stuff. But a lot of times, dude, I wasn't really able to. So I was kind of like just by myself a lot, just kind of exploring the city. I got a job working at Rots Records, which was a punk distribution place in the 90s, where everybody bought. It was like a mail order. And then we also did distro for like record stores and shit at that time. When I got a job there, that like really enlightened me to a lot of like stuff I didn't know about, like New York hardcore and fucking all these other scenes, that I had no idea about. And I started meeting a lot of people when I worked there. And then they started doing punk shows at a little place called Wrigleyville Tavern. It was just like a little tavern. And I think it was on Clark Street. And that was the first time I saw the Boll Weevils and like all those bands, man. It was like their first shows, 88 Fingers Louie. Fuck yeah. I mean, we're talking like these guys' first shows. And I never really made connection with those guys at that point. I just was going to these shows, and like checking it out. And I was working at Rots. Me and Dan were trying to put together our own band. We had a bass player and we wrote an album I say an EP of 6 songs, and we were never able to find someone to do the vocals. So we ended up getting one of our friends from out here to fly out and do the vocals. And when he came out, we recorded 6 songs with, it's actually Carlos from the band Joiner that we were in later on. Called the band Full Blown Grover. We named it after, because Oblivion had put out a 7-inch called Full Blown Grover, and we thought it was funny. And so we just kind of nicknamed the band that, but we weren't really going to stick with that. But so we recorded these 6 songs and never did anything with it. At some point in the beginning of 1993, I had made friends with a lot of the street kids out there because I was skating and doing graffiti a lot. One of our other friends was doing some crazy shit with some fake money, you know?
Okay.
Some mafia shit, dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. And my one friend got busted flipping fake bills. The cops took them in, and then when they were in there, I don't know what happened, but they must have snitched, because as soon as they let him out, they fucking shot the one friend.
Whoa.
The other friend got away. Right after that, dude, it freaked everybody out. And so I was like, hey, man, I'm going to go back to Cali for a couple months and fucking till this shit cools down, right? So when I came back out to Cali, I met up with Carlos, and we started kind of doing that Full Blown Grover thing just for fun. Through that's when I met Ace. He was going to the shows, and I saw him at a party afterwards, and he was like, hey, man.
Yeah, and I was just Johnny Metal back then.
Yeah, he was like this little metal.
Dude, I think the only real punk rock that I was just getting my hands on was like Jawbreaker, and like Dookie was just out. That was the summer.
This is 1993.
The next summer.
94. Oh yeah, 94. Yeah,
jumping ahead next year. That's when I came into the picture.
Yeah,
I saw Brett and Jeremiah, which was his cousin. They all skated and stuff. And I seen him at local punk shows. There was a band called Corrupted Peasant Farmers. Brett was at that show, and I was pretty intimidated. I was like, because they were all like real punk rockers. I was this little metal punter still, and
he's like 16 years old, man. He was just a kid.
I was like, and then I met Brett at that party. It's like, here, you check this out. This is propaganda. You check this Lagwagon. No effect. I was like, shit. Whole world out there of all these kick-ass bands I've never heard of. I was like, shit. We didn't have very many indie record stores around here. We had like one, but that was like when I went in there and first saw like Dead Kennedys records and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then I'd go to Full Blown Grover shows and just kept bugging Brett, and I was playing with my buddy Brian, because they were all my metal friends. They were getting more into the death metal shit, and I just wasn't like feeling that Cookie Monster shit. I was just like, man, I want to write some good songs and get some fucking sunshine.
So there was this huge, as much as there's this big punk scene in California during that time, there's also a huge metal scene, dude, that a lot of people don't like. Death metal, and like a lot of the shows we were playing early on, man, we'd get on with these like death metal shows, dude. It was
deicide type bands and shit. They just hate us.
They fucking hated us.
So this is 30 years later, and you guys are living around the same, you're back in California. I don't know how long you've been back there, but you guys are still buds. Did you immediately click as friends in the beginning? Or Brett, did you think Ace was kind of like this annoying kid that just kept showing up?
Oh, dude, I got hazed, had to earn it.
Oh yeah.
It was, we didn't kill nobody, but it was very gangster. Brett was like, all right, dude, I'll bring you into this shit, but don't make me look bad. I'll make you fucking look, So that's just how it was. I mean, shit's different now. There's no kid now that could take the verbal ass whipping I used to take, but hey, man, it made me fucking tough. And I learned from the best. I wanted to play with the best, and Brett and Carlos and Craig and all them, they were already on the next level, like playing Jawbreaker sounding stuff. It was like, these guys ain't fucking playing metal. These guys are on, and I wanted to be where they were and play with them, and just kept with the pack until I got better. And because at first I sucked, dude. I mean, it was hard.
In retrospect, looking back, Ace knew what he wanted, man, and he fucking hunted me down, dude, and he fucking just wore me. Like, he seriously, man, at that party, dude, he sat there and talked to me all night and was like listening to these records, dude, and he was so into everything I was showing him, man, that I couldn't like ignore him. You know what I mean? I was just like, yes, dude, I will come and jam with you. He was like, just come and jam with me one time. That's all he kept saying. Just come and jam with me. And I was like, all right, dude, I'll come jam with you. And so I went and jammed with him, man. And I ain't gonna lie, man, he had 6 songs, and they were perfectly written, perfectly crafted pop songs. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, these are great. I was like, for a 16-year-old kid to be writing these songs, it was amazing, So I was just like, And like I said, he wasn't like the best player at the time, and his voice wasn't the greatest, and
I can't.
And we were all, even me, man. I was still learning too, dude. We were all just kids, man, just learning. But it was so fun to do it together,
So how's this lead to you guys starting Houseboy?
I went and jammed with him and his buddy Brian. I knew right away that he had something special. Like there's something special about this kid, With the other guy, Brian,
he was like, Ace, what the fuck? We got to finish high school. And I was like, no, I ain't finishing no fucking high school, man. I'm going to keep rolling with this shit. And he did what he had to do. I understand. But I was like, I already had my mind made up. I was like, hey, we already got a show opening for Face to Face in October. After that, we're probably going to Chicago. We started playing in June. And then by October, we opening for Face to Face.
That's true.
And then November, we left to Chicago.
Yeah.
I think we left.
Let me go back a little bit, though, because right away when Ace came, when we started the band, I told Ace, I said, look, dude, there's another element to this band. And I told him about Dan. And I said, Dan's an important part of this. I said, I'm going back to Chicago.
Yeah, Dan had everything lined up in Chicago. That was one of the main reasons.
That was one of the main things. I said right out the gate, I said, are you going to be down to do this and go with me back to Chicago? And he said, yeah. So that's what kicked it off. And it's really important that people know that, because a lot of people, don't realize how crucial, like Dan, he was a big part.
Yeah, he was.
Well, let me ask you something, because Chicago, the bands that you guys played with, and I always say this, there's something in the water that just bred these amazing bands, and then California had it too. Moving to Chicago, was there ever kind of like, use your opening for Face to Face, and then when you go to Chicago, did you compare the two scenes and be like, if we were still in California, we'd be opening for, or maybe touring with them?
That was kind of the thing for wanting to go to Chicago, because at that time, like in the Bay, the whole pop punk sound that we were doing is kind of, it wasn't happening up there. It was played out and down. Everybody down in LA either wanted to sound like Korn or Sublime. No disrespect to either one of those bands. But we were listening. What was crazy is the summer of '94. Like Brett was showing me like Oblivion, 88 Fingers, Louie, the Bow Weevils, and then the next summer we were hanging out with all those fucking bands. Yeah, we were in the Fireside Bowl. Like, it's crazy, dude. Especially the Fireside Bowl. I look back on that shit, and I was there, and I still don't believe it. I was there.
Here's the thing.
I was pretty special shit.
When I left Chicago at the end of 1993, I remember going to those last couple like Wrigleyville shows and going, man, dude, something big is happening here. Like something big is brewing in Chicago, dude. Like because it was just some of the bands like, Apocalypse Hoboken was, got back together, with, Slapstick, like all these great bands started coming out, dude. And like, I knew that Chicago was, something special was going to happen there.
And what was cool about it is because we went there. So all the Chicago bands were like, wow,
well, we had to earn it.
You guys came from California.
We had to earn it, dude. Yeah. It wasn't like they didn't like just love us instantly.
Yeah, one of our first shows at the Fireside was with a hardcore band called the Four Squares. And I was like, Brett, these guys are gonna fucking kill us, dude. Yeah. From Chicago, it's cold. They're hardcore. They're all pissed off.
I was like, they're not.
They're gonna kick our stoner. They're gonna kick our stoner asses, and they ended up being the nicest guys.
Ace was always worried, man. Like these hardcore bands are tough. I'm like, dude, they're not tough guys. They just act that way on record, bro.
So when you go there, is Houseboy, does that name get established before you're there or after you guys show up?
So we were already lined up with Dan, but we knew that we wanted to start getting stuff going out here. So me and Ace, we got another guy to play bass out here, this guy Jesse, and we recorded 2 albums with him out here. We recorded our first album, and then a couple months later, or actually it wasn't even a couple months, man. It's like a month later, we went and recorded another album. And then we were out here in November, right?
Yeah. We left.
We played, I think we played only like 6 or 7 shows, dude. We played like our first couple shows, we played as the Sneetches. And then we realized that
I didn't like that name because it sounded too much like the Snitches. I was like, no, not where we come from, dude. We got to change that fucking name.
So there is a demo, a Sneetches demo of 5 of those first 5 songs or 6 songs that Ace wrote that floating around. You can find it on Bandcamp.
We were record shopping, I think in San Luis, and we bought that Peg Boy record, and we were like thinking of a name. And I remember we were driving through Merced on a beer run or something. And Brett just goes, what about Houseboy? And I was like, yeah, I can dig that. I know it's kind of silly, but it was all those names back then in the 90s, Having a silly name with good music makes your name cool.
And it was right after like that OJ shit happened. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, we thought it was funny.
Like
Kato the Houseboy.
Oh, okay. I see the reference there. And you guys chose to move to California. Or, I'm sorry, you chose to move to Chicago right at the beginning of winter, basically.
Yeah, how do you like that? We moved in. I think we
that must suck.
got the pad like on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Me, Brett, and Jeremiah all moved in.
Yeah, my cousin Jeremiah.
Yeah, we had no fucking electricity. I remember I had a bottle of vodka to keep us warm.
Yeah. So we moved to Chicago. Rock, man. We had a van, and we had to live in the van for a couple weeks, and then I found us a place, and dude, we had a fucking killer spot, man. It was right in the heart of like Lincoln Park area, which is like the nicest area of Chicago, and we had this freaking apartment where the landlord never did anything. So every house on the block was all remodeled and brand new. And then we had this one spot, dude, that was just, it looked like hell, bro. It looked like it'd been there for like 100 years. You know what I mean?
How many guys live there?
Just 3 of us. It was still very, like we had the homies in the back. Like there was some gangbangers that lived in the back, man. And they were all right, dude. But dude, they used to fucking break into everybody's shit around there, man. It was crazy, dude.
So I see on Discogs, you got last Friday's Selfless Allstars. Is that your first release as Houseboy?
Yeah. So let me go back a little bit. So here's the other thing that when we got there, you know, it's me, Ace, and then we hook up with Dan and Thom. And so Dan and Thom are a little bit older, and Dan, all his friends are in another scene. Me and Ace were going to Fireside and like going to punk shows and stuff. But Dan, his friends were more like in
the Chicago indie rock,
like the indie rock scene. You know what I mean? Like his friends were like his best friend was Kevin from Triple Fast Action, was one of his homies from like when he grew up. So Dan's hanging out with those guys, and because he's hanging out with those guys, we're not just playing all ages shows, we're playing those shows too.
Thurston's, the Double Door.
Yeah. So it was cool, man, because we're living in the city, and not only are we playing the punk shows, we're also playing rock shows with, you know, rock bands and stuff.
Billy Corgan's territory.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Like that kind of shit.
When you guys get there, what was the reception from the local scene, like the crowd for you guys?
Well, that's the thing. So with the rock shows, it was really good. With the older crowds, at the punk shows, it took us a little while, man. We had to earn it, dude, because at first they were like, who are these guys from Cali? You know, they're coming to our scene, you know, kind of thing.
With the Cali pop punk sound. Yeah.
After a while, man, we all became really close friends and stuff, dude. And
they just had to, you know, see what we're made of.
Yeah, man. They had to fucking,
they were all great people. Everybody. Like, yeah, I wish I wasn't so young and dumb back then so I could appreciate it more. I mean, it's crazy. We're just surrounded by great people and great bands 24/7. 95 and 96, those 2 years were amazing.
What were some of the bands you guys got like tight with?
Oh, the Boll Weevils, 88 Fingers.
The Boll Weevils, yeah. The Boll Weevils are probably, I mean, because I was in the Boll Weevils for a while, so.
That's right.
Brendan and Dan were in Slapstick, and then Brendan later, and then Chris was in a band called Tricky Dick, and then Brendan and Chris did the Lawrence Arms, and then Dan was in Slapstick, and then Alkaline, and then I met Matt Skiba. I think his band, they were called the Traders before Alkaline.
Yeah,
because we practiced in the South Side of Chicago in Tom's Loft, and we had a party there one night where the Traders played, and that was the first time I met Matt.
I interviewed Daryl from the Boll Weevils, and he did mention you a couple times, Brett. We talked about you playing in the band.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I've always had you guys on my mind to like get on here, but that was another trigger. I was like, man, like it was just cool where you'd see how everyone was connected in that Chicago area where I was like, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
So let me tell you this. When, like I said, everybody was, we were playing some pretty good shows in Chicago. Like Brian Peterson was always really freaking good to us, man.
He was the Fireside guy.
Yeah, dude. He always was really good to us, man. And since we lived right down the road, he could also call us we always said, hey, man, if someone cancels, call us. And he would do that a lot. He'd be like, can you guys come play? And be like, we'll be right there. You know what I mean? Because we were right down the street. That's how we got to play with Sublime. Because Sublime was there one night, and they threw us on last minute.
How was that show? Was this like when they were known?
This is when no one knew who they were, dude.
I got this.
No one knew who they were.
I got this when we got there to the Fireside, and yeah.
I just hear the bong.
First off, I was like, it's February, and why are these guys got their fucking shirts off? And they're playing reggae. You know, I was like, I didn't get it at first. And I was like, oh,
they're awesome though.
And then I worked at a Subway, and there was Sublime stickers all over the window. And I had that night off. Dude that I worked with was like, hey, man, this band came in here last, and he described them. I was like, oh, shit, that was that band that played. And then like a week later, we're all at the apartment partying and watching 120 minutes or something. And the Date Rape video came on. And I remember going, Brett, that's that fucking band that played.
That's
and
wild.
The rest is history. Yeah. There was a lot of that kind of shit, like at the drive-in too. Like we got to hang out with them, party with them at the Fireside Bowl. Like 4 or 5 months or exactly like a year later, One Arm Scissor broke and they were.
I love that fucking band so much.
Dude, that band changed everybody's fucking life.
Did you, when you said you party with them, a buddy of mine, he worked for a label that dealt with Mars Volta, and he told the story one time that he had to he had to hide their coke getting on a plane or something like that.
I've heard so many. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
What were they like to party with? Were they just like chill? Or were they like pretty nutty?
Yeah, they were totally chill. I remember.
Dude said, man,
it was the Vea. It was the Vea. Vea just came out the EP with the boombox in the front. The EP with the boombox on the front, and we were at Fireside. Then after that, they played a killer fucking show.
Yeah,
we ended up at a party. They ended up at somebody's house. We just followed them back to the house.
They were friends with the student Miguel. He grew up out there in Texas with them, and then he was living in Chicago. And I was playing. He was in a band called D Minor that I was playing with at the time out in Chicago. That was the connect right there. We went to the party with him.
And I remember throughout the party, Cedric he found a CD of like Booker T and the MGs.
That's what we connected with those guys because they were playing music over and over again. That me and Ace were like into and shit. So
I must have heard Green Onions like 100 times that night.
Yeah.
So there's a video because you mentioned 95 or 90, 95, 96. There's a video of you guys playing at Fireside. It's Houseboy live set, 1996 Fireside Bowl, Chicago. And there's right in the beginning, what was your bassist player name? Is that Dan?
No, Dan was our second.
If it's 96,
that was Alan.
Were we a 3-piece?
Doesn't look it. Yeah, you're a 3-piece.
So we got to go. Yeah, we got to go back, man.
Yeah, well, 96, we went on to go play some shows, and
you're getting too far ahead. You're getting too far ahead. Hold on.
Okay, so I want to get up to that, so I'll pin that. So let's go through more of the timeline here, Brett.
So you were asking about our releases before. What was released first? So the first thing the one thing that kind of put us on the map in Chicago in the early days was that we got on the Underdog compilation, the Achtung Chicago 3, and that was really what put us on the map there first. That's when people started going to our shows.
What was the hit or the song that you had
on the way, man? That was our hit, man. On there, that was the song, and like Slapstick's on there. I mean, there's a lot of good Tricky Dicks. Dude, there's so many good bands on that compilation, man. Like it was basically like the scene at that time, you know?
Okay, so you guys get on that comp, people start coming to shows. When did you guys start touring?
We were playing locally a lot. It kind of gets tricky, dude, because at that time, Ace decided he needed to take a break. What is this, like end of 95 or?
Yeah, I came back home. I came back home, and then I think I came back that summer.
Yeah.
And then we kicked back up again, and I think we wrote more songs, and I think that's...
Well, hold on. He's going too far ahead again. He decides he needs to take a break, and when he goes to take a break, Dan and I and Thom, we decided that we're going to start this emo, because the emo thing was really getting big in Chicago at that time. You know, like Captain Jazz, Braid was starting to play out a lot, and we were really into that stuff. So Dan really wanted to do that band of that style. Like he was way into Sunny Day Real Estate. We all were.
And this is after Ace took a break?
Yeah. So we recruited 2 new guys to do a Sunny Day kind of hardcore, post-hardcore, I don't know what you want to call it. And we recorded 6 songs we were called Colorfall. That's a cool ass EP, dude, if you can find it.
Is this on your Bandcamp? Because I see Sneetches on there.
Yeah, the Sneetches is on there. The Colorfall thing, it's probably separate. You have to look it up separate. It's CO. It's spelled weird too. It's spelled with a U. But it's only 6 songs, man. If you can find it, dude, it's worth listening to. It's incredible, dude. It's fucking really good. So we recorded that. We never played any shows or anything. It was just a recording project. The guy that we recruited to play guitar, that was that dude Alan that was playing bass that you saw.
Okay.
So that's how we meet Alan, because I met Alan through an ad at Reckless records, like used to put like the little ads on the board, you know, and pull the little tabs. Call me, man, if you want to jam, you know, one of those kinds. I saw a thing, and he was him and a singer, and they were like, oh, we're in the Sunny Day Real Estate and all these bands that we liked, right? You know, Boys Life and fucking Braid, you know, and Captain Jazz and all these bands. So we called this guy Alan. Used to call him Emo Alan, dude, because he was like the emo guy. When Ace came back, Alan had a label called Watching Records, and he was the one that asked to put out the first 7-inch, the last Friday. So that was our official first, you know, release with Chicago, yeah, lineup, yeah.
So is the Ace? Are you singing on that?
Oh yeah,
Ace sings on everything.
So the departure, Ace comes back after taking a vacation.
Yes,
to clear his head.
Yes, yes.
So then you guys put out last Friday, Selfless Allstars on Watching Records.
Yes,
and then after that, we put out our first full length. Yeah, right.
Well,
we
recorded it
in 95. It didn't come out till 96.
Yeah, because it says you have Chow comes out.
Yeah, and that 7-inch came out. Those were 3 fresh songs.
He's getting ahead again.
After
that first 7-inch came out, that's when we started getting the other thing I failed to mention, while Ace was on his break, that's when, I swear to God, this is no lie, must have been the day that like he left, dude. I was fucking so bummed, and I was like, oh man, Ace is gone. I don't know what, but you know, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, like because you know I was close with him at this time, you know what I mean? And so that night, dude, I get a call from Ken from the Boll Weevils, and he was like, hey man, we heard about Ace. And he was like, would you ever consider joining the Boll Weevils? And I was like, fuck yes. So that was the other thing, man. When I did that changed. I mean, things changed a lot for me, man, after that, dude. That was even for our band, because
it helped Houseboy a lot.
Yeah, dude.
Got to be a part of the Dr. Strange clique and all that.
That's when I started going on my first like tours while Ace was gone. And then he came back, and I was still in the Boll Weevils doing stuff the whole time that he was back. But we were kind of doing Houseboy. We were recording a record, playing some shows. We recorded Yeah Right. And right after we recorded Yeah Right, because I had been touring with the Boll Weevils so much, I got a taste of it, you know what I mean? And I was like, I want to be doing this all the time. That's when I started booking Houseboy tours. And at first, it was cool. Dan and Thom were cool with it, but it didn't. They were like older, like I said, man, and they had like day jobs and stuff. You know, me and Ace we didn't give a shit. They at some point they were like, we can't do this touring that you guys want to do. And me and Ace were like, well, that's not going to work. So we came to an agreement that we were going to get someone else to play bass, and that we were just going to go on tour as a 3-piece. Like Dan was still going to be in the band, but just local shows and records. Even though there's a lot of local shows that we played that he didn't come out to play, because he was I think he was a little upset at that time. When Alan came in and started playing bass, since he had the label, the Watching Records, that we went in and recorded that Chow 7-inch. And that Chow 7-inch is there's only 300. We only pressed 300 of those because it was just like, we just did it for the tour. Then that's when we started touring a lot.
Real quick, if you're needing an explainer video, that's what I do for a living. My company is drive80.com. You can email me at mike@drive80.com for some samples and pricing. Industries that I've created explainer animations for over the last 14 years are tech, software, medical, pharma, recruiting, nonprofits, accounting, ed tech, and more. That's all I'm going to say. So now back to the show.
We toured Brown Lobster Tank. We did a couple tours with Mandingo.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw you guys, it was you guys and Mandingo, and you played at the Manville Elks Lodge in New Jersey. I don't know if you remember that. There was an Elks. It was a lodge where there was a ton of deer heads and shit on the wall.
Yes, that was awesome. I remember. That's the night I met Patrice, dude. Or not the night I met her, but that was like the first night that I made like contact.
Was that your girlfriend at the time?
That's my wife now.
That's your wife. Yeah, because I remember you guys were. I remember that whole story because. Well, I'm going to jump ahead for a second because I remember when you guys moved to Jersey, you guys were dating and she was pregnant with your daughter, I think.
No, my son. Yeah.
Your son. Yeah, that was right. Yeah. I remembered that. I was like, oh my God. But before that, so she lived in Jersey?
This is the story. She's originally from Pennsylvania, but she was going to school in New York at that time at FIT. We had a night off. There's a funny ass story that goes with it.
Yeah, we had a night off. And we were on edge because I think we weren't doing very good. We had a night off because something got
was
canceled.
a night, like mall cop. Remember I hit the mall cop?
I remember I went into the bar of the club first. I saw Patrice and she bought me a drink. And I just was like, I thought to myself, I was like, when Brett sees this chick, his fucking life is going to fucking change. And he was in a bad mood. I think shows were getting canceled. I think Beer Can was playing guitar for us. He was filming.
No, dude, you're way. It was Justin and Joel's brother.
It was Justin and Joel. Okay. Yeah. Brett came in and saw Patrice and was in a lot better mood. And I remember telling Joel and Justin and everybody that night, I was like, I think we're going to be all right now. Brett's going to be in a lot fucking better mood.
There's a story that leads up to that. Yeah. I'll tell you about. You want to know the mall cop story? You can edit it if you want.
The mall cop story.
So what we used to do on our days off, because me and Ace don't drink anymore. Like, you know, we just smoke weed now.
California sober.
California sober, baby.
Term, but yeah.
So back in the day, it was a different story, man. We were heavy drinkers, dude. So on our days off, we go to 7-Eleven and we get the big gulp cups and we'd fill them half with soda, and then we get like a handle of whatever, man. Usually it was like, I don't know, fucking vodka or something. We'd fucking make these huge ass drinks and go walk around malls because we thought that was a great idea, right? And all we do is fucking laugh at people and fucking laugh at shit, you know, nothing major. That one particular night, man, we fucking pissed off this fucking mall security cop, dude. He didn't fucking like us and he was following us around. Finally, dude, he fucking tells us we have to leave. And so we're walking away. We're cool, right? And I don't know, man, he just had like a bug up his ass or something. So he comes and he grabs my arm and he tells me he's going to detain me. And I was like, bullshit, motherfucker. And so I clocked him. And I fucking ran, right? And it kind of put these guys in a predicament. We were all drunk, dude. So anyways, I proceeded to, my adrenaline was going. So I ran and there was some fast food place right there. And I proceeded to get onto the dumpster and I jumped up onto the roof because I knew I could see everything going on from the roof, right? And so I was up there for a good hour, dude, surveying the situation while fucking cops came and all this shit. And they're fucking putting these guys through the ringer, dude. Right. And I'm fucking just watching it going, oh, man. So at some point when the dust settles, I fucking run them back over to the van and I fucking slid into the van and I fucking leaned out the door and I go, all right, guys, let's go. And so we took off, but they were all super pissed at me, dude, because they had to deal with the cops and you know, for good reason, dude, right? They should be pissed at me. So we get to that bar and everybody was in a shitty mood. And then he was right. When I saw Patrice, dude, that was kind of like everything changed after that.
Ace, how did you know that? Like, how did you see her and
my type?
I just know this fool's type. And I was just like, she had that Drew Barrymore look at the time.
And she was smart.
Yeah.
He knew I like smart girls. So
right when I knew, I was just like, you know what? My drummer is going to come in here and he's going to see you. And both of your guys' fucking lives are going to change. And she was like, what? Yeah. And I remember telling Joel and Justin that night, I was like, I think we're going to be all right, boys. We're going to have a good night tonight. I'm sure we'll have a good show from here on out. I don't want to get ahead again, but that's one of the reasons why we came back to Jersey.
Well, that I knew. I remembered that. I was going to lead up to that when we get there.
I mean, to be honest, that whole cop thing, I don't remember that at all, but that didn't mean it didn't happen. That kind of shit, there was a lot of that kind of shit. And that's the kind of point I'm making now. I remember a lot of that stuff, but now it just gets blurry at the time because so much shit happened in that small period of time that it's hard to remember shit for me anyway. And we were all fucking inebriated back then. I mean, those were just crazy fucking times.
It's funny you said that because in that video I was referencing before, the bass player, he starts off and he's like, this has been a crazy tour, blah, blah. And he goes, there was an arrest. And then he just kind of brushes over. I was like, oh, this would be probably maybe a fun question to ask. So do you remember what the arrest was? Or is this like one of many?
We were in Wisconsin. We were on tour with Brown Lobster Tank. We had shows lined up with Alligator Gun. Do you remember them?
I don't believe so.
Dude, you should check them out. They were fucking awesome,
really good,
man. They were so good. Anyways, we were staying at one of their pads. So anyways, there's like different rules. And you gotta remember, this is the 90s. So I don't know what the rules are now. But back then, there was some crazy ass rules about drinking, man, on that certain days of the week. You know, they quit selling alcohol at certain times or whatever. I can't remember what night. I think it was like Sunday. And they quit serving at like 10 and we couldn't get any beer, right? Everybody was saying, you guys got to drive to the next county. So we're like, all right, we'll drive to the next county. We don't give a fuck. At this time, remember, we're young guys. We're not old guys. We had picked up this runaway girl. She was like 17 or 18, but she was like a runaway, dude. She was like a homeless girl, man. And we were just like, none of us like it wasn't like none of us like touched her, you know, it wasn't anything like that. It wasn't
like a sketchy situation.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that, dude. We were just trying to help her out, you know what I mean? And so we let her come and sell merch. And so she was with us too. And we didn't know she was a runaway at that time, by the way. we just thought she was, we were just trying to help her out. Yeah, we called her the Rave because she dressed like a rave, she was a raver chick, right?
Okay.
We used to call her the Rave. That's what our nickname for her. And she was cool, Cuckoo, man. She was,
Cuckoo was with us too.
Yeah.
He worked for
and Cuckoo. He worked for Dr.
was
Strange.
with us, and he worked for Dr. Strange Records.
Yeah. It's us four, and we're going to the next county to go get some beer. And we get to the next county, dude, and it's the same rules apply, right? You can't get no beer. And we're already drunk at this point. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking beer run this motherfucker, right? So I grabbed 2 cases and I ran out the door and jumped in the van. And when I jumped in the van, I was backing out to get away. And I freaking backed into
an off-duty
cop.
Oh, no.
And I saw the look on the cop's face when he backed into it. I looked through the fucking window, dude, and this cop goes, "What the fuck?" And just fucking
like, what are you gonna do, motherfucker?
Dude, it's all over.
He gave me that look, like, what are you gonna do?
I looked at Cuckoo and the Rave, and I go, "Hey, man, it's all over now."
I fucking lit up the tires, dude, and threw that fucker in drive and fucking
dude, they pulled us over, dude. They detained.
They had us in a high speed chase for a good like 10, 15 miles, right? And they had like, dude, they finally fucking swooped around us, dude. guns drawn, dude. All of us on the ground. Yeah, it was crazy.
Jesus.
They sat there, and they finally had to let him go.
Well, they took, they took me.
We sat there forever.
They took me to jail, and then they had these guys in like a holding cell or something. Or in
me and Cuckoo were outside. I remember Cuckoo going, "Hey, Ace, if we get through this, I'm gonna really try hard to have Doc sign you guys." Well, one thing at a time. Let's see if we can make it fucking home first.
How did you get out of that,
dude?
Because we had no credential. We were all out of town. That I still wonder about shit like that. Like, yeah, why did they let him go? We were out there waiting for a long, long time. It was the next day. They let his ass go.
I didn't fall in, dude. I just was like.
But there was a lot of times back then shit like that would happen. We'd have to get the fuck out of Dodge quick. That's the way it was.
Okay, so I feel like, how many times did you guys get in trouble with the cops?
Oh, dude. It was quite a few.
A baker's dozen.
Here's the thing, man.
Like I said, it was long ago. This is the 90s, man. That was a long time ago.
One thing about us back then is we were that band, dude. Like, we constantly drank, and we would, if you had drugs, dude, we wanted to try your drugs. You know what I mean? That's just how we were, man. But we just wanted to have fun, dude.
Pretty stupid.
Yeah, pretty
stupid. Nothing to glorify, dude. We're not condoning any of it.
I'm not condoning any of it.
We just all had to learn the hard way. It was just, you know.
You guys were never out of control when we would hang out at Patino's.
Nah. See, that was the other thing. We weren't that bad.
You guys drank, but you weren't like that band that we were like, yeah, these guys are crazy. That I remember.
There was a discipline to it. We really tried to do all that stuff after. If we knew we were playing, there was a discipline there that we all kind of kept each other in check. Like, okay, man, we're gonna wait till after. Yeah, it was kind of an unspoken thing. You know, we didn't want to like play like shit. So there was that, dude. We definitely weren't like the sloppy fucking, you know, get up there and play all fucked up. Like, I don't want people to get the wrong idea. But afterwards, dude, that was another thing, man. Our days off, like, we get bored, dude. And then when you get bored, you start doing stuff like that, you know?
If I don't stay busy, I start making bad decisions.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that was the thing on tour. Afterwards, you would drink because it would kill time. And then leading up to the show, you'd go possibly find a mall and just walk around. And because you're like, well, what the fuck are we going to do?
And our idea of going to the mall was like, hey, we're going to meet other people and we're going to get them to come to the show. That was our whole tactic.
That was the thing too. Yeah. Did you ever like walk to people like, hey, we're in this band, you should come check us out? And then they did.
Yeah, it was all word of mouth back then. Yeah. We didn't have all
and it worked, dude. It worked a lot of times, you know, because our thing, you know, we always knew, dude, if you could just get some girls there, the guys will come. You know what I mean? The guys will fucking come.
So when you guys put out Yeah Right, and you said that was the thing that kind of jumped you up a little bit more.
Dude, there's a thing with Yeah Right, dude. We recorded it because we recorded that with Dan and stuff. And then what happened was after we started touring a lot, when Alan came in the band, it got to a point. I remember we came home after the Mandingo tour, and Ace and I, the money that we had made, we had to pay back rent. And I remember looking at Ace going like, dude, we just made this money. We just have to pay. We just had to give it to Jeff for rent. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I go, let's just move our shit back to California into our parents' homes and go tour full time. And we were both like, fuck yeah. So then that brought us, so in 96, that brought us back to California.
So do we want to jump to Jersey yet, or do you want to fill in some?
No. So let me fill you in. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I see also there's the Nooner split, but I feel like that's after you guys were in Jersey.
Yeah.
So let's fill in the gaps.
So what happened was we come back here, and the plan was we were going to start touring. And then I remember at one point, Dan flew home to visit. Yeah, he told me and Ace he wanted to tell us. So we went down to Watsonville where his family lived, and we hung out with him for like the last two days that he was home. And then we drove him to the airport. When we got to the airport, he said, look, you guys, I'm going to move back here, and I'm going to get back into the band with you guys and start touring. And we were so excited about that. It was like, yeah, man, this is fucking awesome. And then we were going to put Yeah Right out, and everything was going to be cool. Me and Ace were super excited that, dude, it was like a couple days later. Okay. We get a phone call. He fucking dies.
Whoa.
Yeah. He had an asthma attack. I mean, I'll give you the whole layout. So he moved into this loft that he was fixing up, and it didn't have any ventilation or windows, dude. And he was doing all this like drywall work in there, and he had asthma really bad, dude. And he fucking suffocated himself in that fucking room, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Like working on that room, man. He fucking, that's what happened, dude. He couldn't fucking breathe, man. He fucking lost it, and they couldn't revive him, dude. And so he died. He was only, what, 25? No, 28, right? 28. Yeah, 28.
Wow.
And so that changes everything. Okay. When me and Ace heard about that, we thought that was in our eyes, that was it. We were done. We were closing up shop, no more Houseboy, right? So then we went through all that grieving process, the funeral and all that, stuff, all that stuff happened out here, by the way. He died in Chicago, but they had to bring his body out here because he grew up here too. His family's from out here too. We went through all that stuff. And after that, we decided we didn't want to do Houseboy anymore. So then we hooked up with one of our old friends, Craig, and we started the band Driver 11. And then Driver 11, we recorded some songs, we recorded a split with Nooner.
It says in 97 on Imperfect Records, I'm on Discogs again. Yeah, it says Nooner and you guys do a split, and it's got the yellow artwork.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the one you're talking about, or was the...
Yes. Yeah. So we do that split with Nooner.
I think that was at that time our own release. And then we did one tour.
So then where's the whole Driver 11 thing happen within that?
That was Driver 11 was pretty much just that year.
It was just that year,
97. Yeah, that was, the driver, I call it Driver 11 year. Yeah, 97. Put out that 1 7-inch.
What happened was we put out that 7-inch, and we recorded a bunch of other songs. We went on tour. And when we were on tour, we recorded more songs in Pennsylvania with Dana Fair. Remember he was in Digger for a while, and those songs were awesome, man. Those came out rad. Anyways, and actually remember Phil from Digger?
I never met him. I just knew of him, and I knew that he died of an overdose.
Phil played on those songs. Yeah, the ones that we recorded out there. And they're awesome, dude. Those songs are rad.
I think that's why I had heard of that. Was he in the band, or he would just record on the release?
Well, he just recorded on the release on that tour, but we'll get to why he was in the band later. We reformed it that was when me and Ace first got to Jersey. We reformed that with him first. We reformed Driver 11 for a little while. We played one show with him, and then he died. He died of a heroin overdose right after that.
Okay. So wait, this whole time though, you're keeping in contact with Patrice.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
because that's like your reason what moved you guys to Jersey.
Yeah, I hadn't met Patrice. We jumped way ahead when I met Patrice. Because that was way later on. I hadn't met Patrice yet.
Okay.
When we were in Driver 11, I hadn't met Patrice. We were doing that tour, with Craig and Steve. Big Steve went, right? And when we got back from the tour, Craig had a lot of responsibilities, and me and Ace wanted to jump right back in, man. I mean, we were like gung ho at that point. You know what I mean? We didn't hit the road. We didn't want to take any breaks, dude. It was crazy because right before we left on that tour, I got to bring back Billy York again. Remember the guy I was telling you from State College? Before we went on that Driver 11 tour, he was like, hey, man, what's it going to take to get Houseboy back together? And I was like, I don't know, bro. I don't think it's ever going to happen. He's like, if I get you guys signed, would you guys get back together? And I go, yeah, dude, if you get someone, I go, actually, if you can just get somebody to put out the album that we recorded with Dan, we'll get back together. And he's like, done. And so he was on a mission, dude. He started sending out demos and shit. And then we get a call right when we get back from that Driver 11 tour. We got a call from Stiff Pole. And Stiff was like, hey, I want to release the album, but there's one stipulation. You guys have to tour for it. And so Ace and I were like, all right, we're going to get the band back together. So that's when we got the band back together. And that was in 97, right?
At the end of 97, going into 98.
Yeah. So we were living.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer, Mike. We're getting closer.
We're going to bring you into Jersey in a second. Oh, and the other thing he wants to do is he says, you guys, I want you guys to record another album. I'm going to send you guys money to record another album. At this point, it's just me and Ace at this point. And we're like, what are we going to do? We need to get players. So Steve, who used to be in Tricky Dick with Chris from
Lawrence
Arms,
was living with us at that time out here. And
in California.
Yes. He just dude, funny thing, man, at some point, dude, he just showed up on my doorstep, dude. He's like, and I was like, yeah, dude, come on, bro. And fucking, yeah, he lived with us for months, dude. And we play music for a while. He was playing another band stuff. And then, cause he knew the Houseboy thing was coming. So yeah, he was there, man. And then we met Joel on the Driver 11 tour in South Dakota. And when we met Joel, we just had an instant connection with the man, you know, and he plays a lot like Dan. And that was the other thing. We asked him if he would like to come and join recording the record and join the tour. So he flew out. In a week, we went and recorded Tamarack.
Yeah, 1465 Tamarack Street press room.
Yeah, we went and recorded that, got all the shit ready, and then we went and played a bunch of shows, and then we went on tour.
I think that's what we were Smokem Tokum, wasn't it?
Yeah, we went on that. We went on our second tour with Mandingo. That was the Smokem. Yeah, they call it the Smokem Tokum tour.
That must have been the one where I saw you guys play at that Elks Lodge.
That's the one. Okay, and that's when I met Patrice. So after that tour, me and her, so after I met her, man, it was just like, I was talking to her like as much as I could the rest of the tour, right? And she had to go back to New York to go to school. Right when we got back to California, dude, she was already on a flight here, dude, to meet me here, like without me even really knowing, you know, she kind of surprised me. And so I went and picked her up and we hung out all week, dude. And that's when I proposed to her. Asked her to marry me. And then we figured out that she had to go back to school in New York. And the best thing, and I was like, well, I go, Ace and I'll just we'll just come out there, man. Like we and him didn't give a fuck, dude. We're like, let's go to Jersey, dude. You know what I mean?
I remember this. I remember all of this because I remember that story. That was like a very significant story.
And it was all really about her, man. And so we went out there and she lined up that house through her friends and stuff. We were just like, yeah, this is perfect. And we fixed up the basement and we were doing a lot of shows in that basement. When you guys played that last show, that was when we were like leaving. We were moving back to Chicago.
Yes, that was like the goodbye because Granite. All right, so Ace, this whole time you're like, anytime Brett wanted to go somewhere, you were just like, fuck it. Was there ever a point where he was moving? You're like, really, dude, again?
No, because at that time, yeah, I knew he was like, hey, dude, I'm going to go back and marry this chick. You want to go with me and we'll start a band there? I was like, fuck yeah. I wasn't doing shit here. That was 98, 99. So it was what, 21, 22. Brett was the best drummer and we had a good band. And it was just like, I knew we'd get something rolling wherever we went. And especially at that time, dude, I was like, yeah, let's go to Jersey. Haven't been there yet.
When did you guys get Granick in the band?
Oh yeah, we met.
So Granick, I think he booked one of those shows. I think it was the roller rink one.
No, it was I think he did that. And I also believe, if I'm not mixing up stories, because there was that Elks Lodge show that I keep bringing back with all the heads around the walls and stuff. I remember he like, didn't he get like arrested or something, or the cops showed up?
Yeah.
And he was drunk or something. He was driving drunk and they pulled him over.
Dude, I haven't thought of that since that
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about Granick. He's one of them people. I just liked him instantly, dude. I fucking just instantly loved the guy, dude. I was just like, I fucking love this guy.
I did an interview with him. You should go listen to it. He's still Granick.
Yeah, we listened to it.
Oh,
We listened to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we listened to it. Yeah.
It's so funny. Yeah, because that was the whole thing. Because like you guys came, you played with Mandingo, then Patino or Granick, they told me the whole story about you and Patrice, like that whole love story thing. I was like, that's really cool. And then when you guys moved back to Jersey, then you guys connected with Granick, and then we can get to eventually the album you recorded at Patino's. So let's like fill. Is there anything to fill in up to that? Because I want to talk about that record.
Yeah. Let me fill you in. So when we first got to Jersey, the plan was we knew that Houseboy was going to be like our main thing, but we had to wait for Joel because Joel was like, I'm going to be out there, but I'm going to be out there later. Right. We needed something to do until Joel got there. And that's why we kind of put some form of Driver 11 back together with Phil. And we started jamming in the basement and putting on shows. And we did a couple shows with Phil in the basement as Driver 11. We recorded some songs. And we played we just played a couple other shows, I think in Allentown or something. Anyway, during all this guy dies of a heroin overdose, dude. And it was fucking terrible, man. It was super tragic. After that dust settled, we were like, well, we need to get this Houseboy thing kicking, man. So we told Joel, like, hey, man, we're just going to bring in a ringer for now. We're going to find a bass player and we're going to bring in a ringer for guitar until you can get out here, right? And he was like, yeah, that's totally cool. So we bring in some Beer Can, which is Phil, and he brought his buddy Mark to play bass. It didn't really, I don't know, man. Mark was cool. It just wasn't jiving with him, man. I was thinking about Granick, and I was like, man, I want to get a hold of this guy because I remember I think he plays guitar. Maybe I can get him to play bass, right? And I can't remember how. I think it was through Gil. I got his number, and I think I just hit him up if I remember right, man, I just hit him up. I was like, hey, dude. Bass, like.
Well, he was playing in Five Driver, I think, at the time.
That caused a whole bunch of problems with those guys, I remember.
Yeah, he was, because Granick was always looking to play in a band because he was always the guy in the crowd getting everyone hyped up and just being Granick. And then when he got into Five Driver, he was so excited. And then he went to you guys, and then later on he did Modesty Panel with Jay from the Jerkoffs. But so Granick joins the band, and then he moves in with you guys in that house, right?
Yeah, he moved in.
What were some of the shows do you remember some of the shows you guys put on there?
Sound of Reverse.
Yeah.
Penfold, I think, played there.
Wait, did Penfold play that show that we played with you guys?
Maybe.
I feel like they did, maybe. They were great. They're actually playing that Best Friends Festival that's next year.
I can't remember if that I don't know, man. I gotta go back and look at some of the flyers, dude. Fuck. I mean, I remember you guys played there a few times. Dude, one of your guys went on to be in Gaslight Anthem, right?
Yeah, that was so Chris left the band. He was the other singer. He was like pretty much the main singer. I just did a couple songs, and then he leaves, and we were like, "Fuck it, we want to keep touring." So then Rob Heiner, who's one of my really good friends, just had him on. He introduced us to Brian. Brian Fallon wasn't Brian Fallon at the time, and then we toured with him with the Lawrence Arms. We did 2 months. That was his first tour, and then when we got back, he quit 5 months later. And was like, I'm just going to keep doing a thing. And then years later, Gaslight Anthem just blows the fuck up. And we're like, oh, that's fucking cool.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm just friends with Bruce Springsteen now.
When I was living in LA, dude, I saw that motherfucker on a billboard. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that was like, what the fuck? So Dave Bettino was in the Jerkoffs, and he was in Lane Meyer for a little bit. And then he was just doing his own thing. And now he's like touring the world, just taking photographs of bands. It's crazy.
Fucking love Dave Bettino, dude.
Yeah, Dave is one of the greatest people on the fucking planet. So he had a recording studio in his dad's house in the basement, and he recorded some stuff with us, and he was starting to, that's actually how I met him originally. So then you guys get connected with him, and you record your last full length in 99. So I remember he told me the story. He's like, dude, these guys are like, not like in a good way. He's like, Ace is fucking crazy. He's like jumping up and down and like screaming, and he's just getting all fucking into it. He's like, it's amazing. So he was like just blown away by the whole thing. Like, what do you guys remember about recording that album?
We were so excited, man. It was fun, dude. I just, like Dave fucking loved being around that guy, dude. So when he actually offered us, He said, hey man, do you guys want to record with me? And I was like, yeah, dude. But I don't even think he charged us, bro. I think he just wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Because he was just starting out. He just wanted to have it in his
repertoire or whatever.
Yeah, repertoire or whatever. So I can't remember. Maybe we gave him something, dude, but we didn't have a lot of money at that time. So
I heard that he held on to the masters because the tapes because you guys did owe him money. Was that true?
I don't know. If we owe him money, I'll pay him for him. I don't give a shit. He gave us the masters. I don't know. I don't think that's true.
Or like you guys recorded it and then you like it was right before you guys moved back to either Chicago or California.
Yeah, I think we didn't get him right away. I think I had to like get him from him later. I think I paid him.
I think that was it. He was just like, yeah, well, they recorded this thing and they just moved because like so I have no way to give it to him or something like that. So you guys record that. So what was going on at that time? Because you're living in the house and then you record this album and then you just pick up and leave Jersey. Why?
During that time, I had gotten married and Patrice was pregnant with my son, with Gabe. That was like a big thing. So in my mind at that time, I was thinking like, where do I want to raise my kid and where do I want to be? Where do I know the most people? Where do I feel the most home? And Chicago was it for me. You know what I mean? That's where my people were at that time, I felt. And that's where I wanted to be. And that's where I wanted to raise my kid. So I told my wife that, and she was like, let's go. She had no hesitation, dude. And so we planned it out. It's not like we just, we let everybody know, man, hey, this is what we're going to do, and it changed plans because Joel was already planning on moving out to Jersey, dude. And he had to change his plan to move to Chicago, right? Everybody was on board and it was all cool until we got there.
Oh, okay. And then Granite came with you too.
Granite came with us too. When we got to Chicago, the dust, we had to like find a place to live. There's a lot of factors that came into play that put the band on hold for a while. And Granite was young. And Ace was still young. It was too much downtime for them. And they didn't want to Ace was like, I'm out. It's too much downtime for me. So he came back to Cali. And then Granick was like, well, Ace bailed. What am I going to do, man? Sleep on your guys' couch and annoy the shit out of you? Like, I'm just going to go back to Jersey. That's kind of what that was the call he made. And so he's like, call me if you guys need me. That was kind of how we left it, we had my son out there. Joel moved out there. And I had my son and me and Joel, we went and we had a bunch of songs that we were writing for the next Houseboy album, but we ended up jamming with some other people and doing a bunch of other crap. I mean, I ended up playing with this band D minor for a little while, but none of us really did anything super significant during that time frame, man. We were all kind of just trying to figure it out.
Ace, what'd you do?
When I came back to Cali?
Yeah, when you guys went to Chicago and then and you went back.
Yeah, I just eventually came home at the end of '99 with the summer of '99. Yeah, and just pretty much stayed here. And then
did you play in any bands?
No, not really. I just kind of till they eventually came back here, and I think Joyner got rolling again because you guys were just talking about that last album. Shit, I heard that album for the first time since then, just a few months ago. And to me, that album's kind of I call it Diet Joyner because that was pretty much what that was. It was more of a catalyst of what Joyner became.
Yeah.
That last Houseboy album.
I should backtrack just a little. So back when we were still doing Driver 11 in Cali with Craig, right before we went on the Houseboy tour, this is during the time that we were recording the stuff with Joel. That's when we started another band called Joyner, Ace and I, with Carlos and our old friend. And it was just Ace, I, and Carlos at first. And then Craig, who was in Driver 11, came in a little bit later. And then and we were doing a bunch of, like I said, me and Ace didn't want to stop.
So it doesn't sound like you guys ever had any official end. It was kind of something fizzled. You're like, oh, I'll just jump over here and then jump over here. There was never final show or anything like that.
So when Ace came back to Cali for those few months, it wasn't long after that, dude. I was trying to establish myself in Chicago, man, really hard. And then I had a few offers to join. I went and tried out remember that band Local H?
Yeah.
I went and auditioned for them, and I actually got the audition. The guy was like, "Oh yeah, you're in the band, man." And they called me up, and I was like, "Oh, dude, my life's gonna change and all this shit." And then a few days later, he called me and said, "Hey man, fucking I got a call from Brian. Brian is like one of his old friends that used to be in Trill Fast Action, who had like turned him down at first and then decided he was going to do it. And so I ended up not getting that gig, dude. It was kind of like, that was when I was like, yeah, man, I think I'm just going to go back to Cali, dude. I was kind of like missing my dad a lot because I hadn't seen my dad in a few years. And I just had my kid, you know? Yeah, dude. And my dad wasn't doing really well. That was the other thing. I remember my dad was like not doing well. And so I was like, I need to go spend some time with my dad, dude. And then that was when I called Ace. I said, hey, dude, I think I'm going to come back. And Ace's like, all right. So Ace flew back out to Chicago to help me move back to Cali. And he drove back. Me and him drove back together.
I love this like friendship that you guys have.
It's crazy, dude. It's awesome. Crazy though later on.
So anyway, James and Lars.
I know. all notes. So what the plan was is when he came out to get me in Chicago, that was when we designated played. I was like, okay, I'm going to book one last show at Fireside Bowl, and this is going to be our last show ever. And that was the last show we played. And I remember we called Granite couldn't make it, so we had to get Steve, which was cool, man. I'm glad Steve got to play. He was there. And so Big Steve came and played. Joel was there already, and we played our last official show. That was in 1999, and we never went back to Houseboy after that. That was it. That was the closing of that chapter. And then when we got to California, we started back with Joyner, and then we did Joyner for years.
Did you guys tour as much as you did in Houseboy?
We toured quite a bit with Joyner, twice the whole US, and then just all over the West Coast, you know, and stuff.
Stay closer home because you had a kid.
Yeah. Well, we were all starting to have kids and families. And so then it seemed like the more kids, the closer we started sticking to home. There's another weird thing that a lot of people don't know is when Joyner broke up, well, we didn't break up, but we went kind of on a hiatus for a little while there in, I don't know, 2001 or 2002-ish around there. You know, we all went to go do other projects and stuff. Well, then I started playing in a band called Aerial Mile, which included Jay and Matt, and those guys were both in that band Tsunami Bomb.
Yeah, okay.
We started a band called Aerial Mile, and then Ace, because the first singer that we had, he didn't last long, and then Ace came and started singing with that. And I always tell people, I go, if you like Houseboy, you would love the Aerial Mile stuff because it's the same shit, dude. It's Houseboy 2.0, you know, basically.
I spell can you find it online?
Yeah, ARIELMILE.
It's 2 words?
Yeah.
Is that the one with the Bruce Lee cover?
Yeah.
Okay. I just looked it up right now. Some people want to go check that out. Oh wow, you guys did a bunch. Is that a condom on the one? What is that? What is that? It's like a yellow. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's the artwork. The poo. What is this?
Oh, okay. It's just a piece of poo, I think. Oh no, it's a spray can.
Oh, it is a spray can.
Yeah, it's a spray can.
That was like a condom.
Condom? What the fuck?
No, it's a spray can. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So before I start wrapping this up, the last album, Ace, I was saying this before, that it's grayed out on Spotify, but you can find it on Bandcamp. Why did you guys not want it to be on Spotify?
Spotify doesn't. I don't know, man. From what I understand, dude, like they don't really pay their bands well and stuff. So I don't know. I just kind of stayed away from that.
Because it's on there, but it's in a public playlist, but you can't play any of the songs.
Yeah, someone else put it on there. I don't know. I mean, you know what? It's something that I probably should do is put our stuff on Spotify.
We'll probably get around to it eventually, especially now that we're getting shit rolling again. Yeah. It's probably going to be mandatory eventually.
Because here's what's crazy. The crazy thing is you were talking about Ace and I's friendship earlier, and I wanted to mention that around, I don't know, 2008, Aerial Mile, like we went and recorded a record, and then like that didn't get put out. We had some issues. It got shelved. And so after that album got shelved, Ace and we parted ways, dude. He went and started his country band. And then I went and started playing in at first I was doing like dance rock, you know, like all that kind of like dancey shit. It's like real popular for a while, that dancey like
indie rock. Like Head Automatica and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then I got into like reggae scene, dude. And I've been doing reggae for like the last 10 years, dude.
Oh shit.
We just recently reconnected like a few months ago, bro.
Really?
Rehearsing again as Houseboy starting in March.
Yeah.
Songs we hadn't played in 30 years. We just got in a room and started playing them again, and we remembered all that shit. And it was just rewriting them kind of again and getting them all tight again. And yeah, so
I knew you were gonna get into this part. Go ahead.
Yeah, new album coming out. Yeah.
So new album, you guys just got together. Wait, so it's from 2008 until 2 months ago, you guys didn't talk?
Not really.
Yeah.
No shit. Wow, what timing?
For the last 18 years, I was doing my band Calhoun.
Kind of just went separate ways, man. It wasn't like we were upset.
We were still friends.
Oh, okay.
But we just had you wanted to go play reggae, and I wanted to go play, my country thing, and I did that for 18 years.
Just to be clear, man, and during this time, we both went through major substance abuse issues. Dude.
Oh yeah, dude. All kinds of crazy shit, dude.
And that, us getting clean is a lot of the reason why we're here today, like hanging out with each other. Just to make it really clear, drinking, like all that stuff, man.
I got off the booze, he got off the pills, and I wanted to rock again. And I was like, man, if I'm gonna do this right. So I went, hit Brett up. It was like, yeah, let's get Houseboy rolling again, dude. Let's rock and let's do it right this time and write some new songs, get a new album going, go through the old shit, cherry pick it, tweak them out, write them, and just
Are you guys on a tour at all, or?
We're not there yet, dude, but
we're planning on it.
That's wow. This is random ass. Wait, so who hit me up to get Granic's number for you?
Oh, my wife.
Is that because you wanted to include him, or was that just because you wanted to catch up?
Yeah, we wanted to include him, and we
it's
always
like a family, man. We want to treat it like a punk rock Allman Brothers, man.
Yeah, man, those guys
be around. You come on, we all get on stage when they're in their neck of the woods or they're around here. Yeah. They can come and play.
If they want to come, if they want to come record on the album, man, they're welcome to come and record on the album, dude. Both of those guys. That's how I told both of them. It's funny, man, because I think a lot of people thought we just stopped playing, but Ace and I, both of us never. I have a studio, dude. I do music every day, dude. I have my own. I put out my own solo project, man. I think I put out 16 albums. Ace has put out, how many albums have you put out?
Calhoun, 18 years. I put out 3 full lengths. They're all on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I'll have to link to all these too in the show notes, and then I'll mention in the beginning of the intro when I put this out. So, okay, before I ask the last 2 questions, is there a story you've never told before in an interview that you'd like to tell now? That you've always wanted to tell, or it could just be like, oh, I just remember this, but we haven't really put this on print.
What's the best one, dude?
I don't know, man. That's a big question.
I mean, the mall cop story, and a lot of people know that.
A lot of stuff I don't remember, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Mandingo. Yeah, we were on tour with Mandingo. We had this little towards the end of the tour.
Oh, Tracy Johnny story.
Yeah. We'd be like just having wars while we're driving down the road. Like they'd be behind us and we'd start throwing eggs out the window so it'd land on their car. Brett took a Whopper from Burger King and stuck it up under one of their seats in their van. And he just left it there and just forgot about it. And we didn't say shit. And I know we all kept our mouths shut. Shane, the drummer, kept going like, Mike, what the fuck is that smell, bro? What the fuck is that smell for fucking the whole rest of the tour? And it was just getting rank and more rank and more rank. Finally, Mike found that fucking burger and it was like fucking turquoise at this time, dude. And it was on. It was just, that was like a good one.
Band pranks.
Yeah.
Dude, we used to do this thing where we'd pull up in front of them and we both have shaving cream in our fucking thing.
And we'd
fucking all over. Spray the shaving cream out the window, dude. It would cover them.
Yeah, we'd be in Texas and shit where it's all hot and shit get all corroded, fuck their windshield all up.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Did you say you shot fireworks at each other in the vans? Did you guys do that?
No.
Oh, that was fun.
Got no fireworks.
We probably would have.
We would have saved them for. Yeah, we wouldn't have wasted them doing.
But dude, we did get in like some crazy ass like gang fights together, man. Like
what?
Yeah, we were in Augusta, Georgia one time. And Crazy Johnny, the guy who you put on the punk rock shows there, when he was really young, he got busted trying to hack into something fucking Area 51. Anyways, after he got popped for that, he just started putting on punk rock shows in Augusta, Georgia. And he was in a band called the Cop Killers.
Yeah.
But all the cops there in town knew him and he was like real friendly with him. He's like, Officers, it's just the name of my band. It's all, And so he put on this one show one time we played and these skinheads showed up and our bass player ended up talking to one of these skinheads, his girlfriend, and one thing led to another. 40 ounces started flying, wallet chain.
Oh no, they showed up. Yeah. We went back to Crazy Johnny's house that night, and they rolled up on us.
They rolled up, and they were trying to beat down the door while we were in the house.
Full
they were trying to kick the door down.
We were all fucking, dude. We were fucking going at it, dude. Full on brawls, dude. It was awesome.
Oh did you guys get in a lot of fights, like on the road, or?
No, we would just be in fucking crazy situations where shit like that would just crack off. One time we were in the studio recording one of our first demos, and the guy engineering us, he had a buddy in there with him who was like a biker or something. And these other bikers just came in, dude.
Oh no, he's a tweaker.
Yeah, tweaker. These two bikers just came in, dude. Just lit his ass up right there in the middle of our session.
Right when we were recording the album.
Like, what the fuck? And after they beat this guy down, dude, they walked out of the fucking console room, looked at us and go, "You guys didn't see shit." And I was like, "Yeah, fucking A. I didn't even. We're right back to recording the record. See you right now, man. I didn't see shit."
It was straight up Hell's Angels, dude. Straight up Hell's Angels.
I ever saw some shit like that, dude.
Yeah.
First time I ever saw some shit like that. Right there in Sacramento.
It was straight up like Sons of Anarchy like shit, bro.
20 years straight before, up.
Yeah. Wait, this is in the 90s though, bro.
I never seen a biker in my life until that shit, dude. I was this little kid in there trying to make a punk rock demo, and these motherfuckers walk up in there.
That is a good story.
Beat this motherfucker down right in front of us. I'm just like,
I mean, dude, they beat the fuck out of this guy. I thought we were next, dude.
Is the guy recording you?
I was so scared. He was up against the wall.
No, it was a friend of the guy recording us.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He was going in there to hide out.
These fuckers found him, all right.
Yeah. Dude, you guys got like the weirdest shit following you back then. Oh my God. All right, man. All right. Wrap up 2 questions and just stay on. Before I ask the last one, what would you like to plug? It could be about what you guys are up to. It could be about a friend, a cause. It could be about all of them.
I'll let you know. So right now we're in the process of recording another record.
We're recruiting some new players.
We got a couple new guys coming in, but we've extended the olive branch to Joel and Brian. If they want to come play on the record, or if they want to come play some shows, they're welcome. Whatever they want to do. I think Joel is gonna try to do some stuff with us for sure. Brian hasn't really like responded back to us yet, so we're kind of waiting. I mean, he kind of said, "Yeah, that sounds fun," but that was it, you know.
Yeah, that might be a little bit of a tricky thing to get Brian, because he's like he's traveling all over the country, from what I know.
Yeah, and it's okay, dude. Like, we just wanted to. I mean, even if he just wants to come and hang out, you know, we just would like to see him, you know. But yeah, so we got that. Me and him have been working on this record for a few weeks now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the best Houseboy record. It's going to be what we are now, you know, and it's all the songs so far. I'm really stoked about them. You can pretty much hear everywhere we've been. Every song's a little different, but it's still Houseboy. It's still that Chicago pop punk sound to it.
Are there any songs where I have songs that I wrote 20 years ago that I still remember, and I haven't done anything with them. Or any songs, any of these current songs, something that you started writing like that long ago that
I'd say 80% of it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we're kind of tapping into some.
Yeah.
That,
and
then
we got a couple new ones. We got so much. Songs were never a problem, man.
Yeah.
And even when I was doing Calhoun, there was a lot of songs that I was like, you know, this would sound great when Brett playing drums on this, and then we might bring to the table later and like rework them, because really in Calhoun it was, you know, I wasn't fooling anybody, dude. They were pretty much just punk rock songs in disguise. All I did was put an acoustic guitar to it and put a little twang to it. So I mean, it's all, it's going to be more rock.
Man, like our friendship, I think, is better than it's ever been, dude. Like, we're closer than we've ever been, dude.
That's awesome. And what were the names of the current again? So Calhoun is the band.
That was the last band I was doing. Yeah, right. Yeah, that was the last thing I've been doing for the last 18 years, and then I just put that on the shelf to put more time into this, because I got enough time to be in 2 bands. So I've been wanting to rock. So, I mean, even the last couple of Calhoun shows, I went electric, and the people that were listening to me were like, everything kicked up a notch, and some of my people weren't digging on it. And my bass player, last couple of shows, he's, man, you're losing a lot of your crowd. I was like, man, I don't give a fuck. So the writing was on the wall. I was like, man, I want to rock, so I'm going to go do it right. And so, yeah, this is what we're doing now. And
okay. And Brett, what's the name of the reggae band you've been doing?
Oh, that was a while ago.
I thought that was.
There's been a few, dude. I mean, like, I have a laundry list of bands I've been in the last 10 years. You can look mine up on Discogs if you want, man. I played in a lot. But the main reggae band that I was in was called the Kingdom Sound System. And then right after that, I was in another one called High Vibration that did a really cool album.
Okay, yeah, I'm on Discogs. I clicked your name Damn, you have like Christ. You have like 100 and something. It says like 1 out of 103.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's amazing. Hi-Fi Brain Kingdom sound system.
And I have my solo thing, which is called Frosty Freeze, which is like it's like electronic. I do like a lot of sampling and a lot of like beats and like crazy, house music, like shit like that.
Okay, yeah, that's on there too. That's cool. When you guys do this, you're gonna put this album out. Are you thinking like on vinyl, or just gonna just do digital?
Yeah, we'd like to get
We'd like to get it on vinyl, man. The plan is to bring all that shit back on vinyl, dude, but we just got to get the funds together to do it.
You think Dr. Strange will step in and help you out?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna, that we're playing. So the Boll Weevils are playing Doc's 30s. I'm announcing this on the first time on here. They're playing the 37th anniversary show with Whatever at the Glass House in Pomona, and the day after they added another show at Doc's shop. It's going to be those guys, and then the Houseboy's going to play too.
Oh, fucking A, man. That's awesome.
So that was what we were trying to get Brian and Joel to come out for that if they wanted to. If not, we have other guys that are going to play too. But
if not, fuck those guys. No, I'm
nah. We want to play, man. We want to get out there and play. I mean, if those guys want to come play, they're welcome to come play.
All right, man. So last question. You guys could answer it separately. What scene ethics do you hold on to this day?
Scene? What scene?
Like things that you picked up playing shows and just, being surrounded by that crowd.
Be nice. Stick to your commitments. Show up to the shows. Good work ethic, Are you talking more like political?
No, it's about like some people will say don't be a dick. Some people say
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, be nice, Dude, one of the biggest things I learned.
Don't lose your soul, man. Yeah.
I definitely I lived in LA for a few years, man, and dude, I tell you what, man, that place will fucking teach you a good lesson in how to treat people, dude, after a while. If you have any kind of soul.
Yeah, I lived there too. It sucks.
It's hard, dude. It's not easy. I loved it. I fucking love LA. It's my favorite place in the world, dude. It's my favorite place to be, but it's not easy to live there, man. Especially if you're a musician or any kind of artist, it's not, because it's full of those kind of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing about Hollywood I could never understand: all the damn vampires.